Hi there, I'm Colette, business owner of the Collective,
And I'm Kathryn, business owner of Synchronicity Energy Healing.
and this is the podcast Embers of Enlightenment. We're super excited. This is our first episode ever.
Yay! We're so excited.
I know. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, listening, wherever you're at. Right now we're only on Spotify, but I'm sure once we start doing this more, we can get on other platforms. So today we're starting out with sharing our journey from where we kind of came from on the spiritual road. And it's, to kind of help people see where we came from and then, just kind of give you an idea of, hey, it starts somewhere with everybody, right? So, Kathryn, do you want to start with your story or?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, my story started when I was in postpartum with my first kid, my son. So he was born in January of 2020, and then of course COVID hit that spring. Um, and I really, really struggled with postpartum. So postpartum depression, anxiety. There was a lot of things happening between my husband and I that kind of complicated that. And then on top of that, going back to work, I was working a district manager role where I had 9 stores, 150 employees. I had multiple managers that attempted suicide, a couple that were successful. And so when I was in postpartum, I was dealing with like my own hormones being crazy, but also like the world literally falling apart and having little to no like support for me in that. So it took me about 8 months to get help before I started seeing a therapist, which was thanks to my recruiter, who is one of my good friends who I was telling you about earlier today. And so she was like, you really need to go get help. Like, it's okay to get help. And so I was like, okay, you're right. Like, I'll finally go get help. So I started seeing the therapist, did psychotherapy with her. So that kind of started to bring up like the childhood trauma and like the things that were resorting to like my hyper independence and inability to ask for help. And it's like some of like the problems that I was creating for myself in postpartum. Um, and then I had a couple of friends who was already on like their spiritual awakening journey. Like they've been doing it. And so I had a friend, her sister, did some energy healing on me, and then she referred me to a different energy healer that really kind of like kicked off my journey, if that makes sense. So through her, she's absolutely amazing. I don't think she does services right now anymore, but um, she did energy healing for me, and it was one of those things where um, all the anxiety, all of the depression and stress that I had been carrying and just like holding on, like it literally felt like I was holding the weight of the world, right? Um, and just one session was significantly lighter. And so to do that, like I went into it not understanding what she was doing. Like I was literally just blindly like, okay, let's give it a shot, like anything to help at this point, right? Um, and then I walked away.
Desperation gets you to do
Yeah,
crazy things, doesn't
absolutely.
it?
Yeah. And so I was significantly better. And I went back to her multiple times for energy healing. And she's usually my go-to for energy healing for myself because I don't, I feel weird doing it for myself. And that's like another discussion. But um, she also does, excuse me, Akashic Records readings. And so I had multiple readings with her for that. Um, And between those two things, she kind of like kick-started me and pushed me into the journey of like waking up and kind of figuring out who I am. I did a mentorship with her that helps me in the new mom phase, which is really ironic because she doesn't have kids. And so, and she's younger than me. So she like full on mentored me through this whole beginning to be a mom thing. Um, and
That's
just really,
incredible.
yeah. And
Wow.
and she really just helped me like figure out how to get back to me and make time for me. Um, and so it was really nice.
Which
Um,
is something you're working on now too, right?
yes, absolutely, which is
Yeah,
why I'm
that's
here outside of a coffee shop.
That's so great.
So, I met another woman through her because she did a mentorship with somebody and she told me about it. And it was a business mentorship. So I did that with her. Um, and it didn't really, like, I didn't really take my business far with it at that point, but I learned like the tools, the things I needed to know. Um, and like different ways to regulate my nervous system through the changes in the process. And so that was really helpful. And so now today, as I'm like actually kickstarting my business off, I'm able to revert back to what I learned with her, which is kind of like why I know what I know, which I'm still learning. But so I met her, did the mentorship with her, also got certified in Reiki through her. And then uh, kind of just kept going. And so I finished that mentorship, and then a couple months later, did my first fair. I helped 27 people in 2 days with energy healing with mini sessions. And that was pretty incredible because that was really the first time I got it out there. And I had people that were skeptical, people that were like, yes, I need this. And then other people are like, show me that you can actually do it. Prove to me that you can do it. And I was able to like manage all of that, which was nice. Um, and then it's been a little while since I've done it, but uh, working corporate job and stuff, kind of just maneuvering through figuring out like what I want to do and how I'm getting out. And then when I lost my job in January, it kind of pushed me over the edge into going head in, head in the water to my business. And so my journey has really been a series of like meeting this person, meeting that person. Um, let's put this thing in front of you. Go do this yoga, go do that, go whatever. And it's which is kind of like really where the name of my business came from, synchronicity. It's been like a series of synchronicities that's really put me where I'm at today in my journey. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Yeah.
I thought that name was perfect for you. Like when you
Thanks.
said that, I was like,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I was nervous when I got my LLC for it because if the name was taken, I wouldn't have been able to use it.
I'm
So
surprised,
yeah,
actually. Yeah.
yeah, and so it was perfect because I didn't have to change it, and I was really happy for that.
Yeah. So uh Elliot, your firstborn, there was something like significant when he was coming into the world, I feel like for you. I mean, obviously you had a lot going on right then at that time. You like that's probably the biggest change. I don't have kids, but that's probably like one of the biggest changes you go through is bringing a child into this world, right? But you and I have talked about your kids a lot, but Elliot is very special, and I feel like there's
Mhm.
maybe something that when you started your like that's why you started your healing journey, like part of him coming here was like, okay, mom, it's time to do it, like you waited till now, so let's go.
Yeah, he was very much the tipping point for me. Um, because anybody that grew up with me would know that I was just as hard-headed as the next. And it's funny because um, I'm an Aries. I'm like straight. You look at my birth chart and it's straight fire signs. So, uh, so I mean that probably tells you enough. So I'm very stubborn. I can be very hot-headed, and he very much was the one that like stopped me in my tracks and was like, I need to do things differently, or else I'm gonna screw this kid up a little bit. And I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
also
beautiful.
but it's also interesting because he was the tipping point for me. So growing up, I went to church a lot. I was really big into the church, and my mom identifies as a witch. She's a witch. So I just remember being younger and be like, Mom, you need Jesus. Hi, Mom. Um, being like, you need Jesus. Like, you're gonna go to hell. Like, what are you doing, woman? And I was so terrified, right? And so um, I stopped going to the church when I graduated high school and moved away to college. Um, and so I think because I was so like so deep in that and so programmed in it, that I had to like really hit rock bottom like I did when I had Elliot to be able to start this journey because she was right there in front of my face telling me, and I'm just like, whatever, you need Jesus, whatever, you need Jesus. So yeah,
I think we all have that family member. It's all right.
yeah. My hair is like
I
postpartum
didn't
hair.
even notice. Um, and the Akashic Records thing is cool. I would love to check that out because I've actually been told that that's something I can do, but I don't even know how to tap into that or whatever. I feel like I have in a dream actually. I had a dream about that one time. But that's so cool that you do that. And as you were talking about those people that you come across, those mentors, like that's so beautiful that you had those opportunities, but like you do realize that you're gonna surpass them in what you're doing, right?
Probably not, but sure, yeah.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I mean the stuff we were talking
I
about
mean,
the
as
other
in like
day with,
realizing it, yeah.
yeah, Kathryn's obviously my friend, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this podcast, but
Yeah.
she's very gifted and very special, and I knew that like when we
Thank you.
met, and she's going to do some really great things to help people that are unorthodox. It's so funny that you are like, or you were like super religious and like, ugh, but you are going to step out of the norm for energy healing.
Yeah.
And that's that. So what do you like as far as what you offer right now with your services, what are you kind of how would you label yourself and what would you tell people you do?
So I'm being generic with it right now as an energy healer just because it is evolving for me. Um, I am certified in Reiki. I can't call myself just a straight Reiki master because I don't teach it. So it's Reiki master practitioner. Um, but what I do is kind of a little bit more than that. And it's like quantum energy healing. And so it's easier to kind of give examples of what I've done on clients already versus telling you what I do because I don't think I fully understand it yet myself.
Fair.
Because it is evolving and it is like progressing and I don't have somebody here teaching me saying this is how you do it, this is what you're doing. Like it's evolving and I'm figuring it out as I go kind of thing. So I've done things. I've helped people, I've helped souls cross over, stuck souls cross over. When it comes to clients, I have helped energetically reconnect nerves. I've done rewiring in the brain. I've put back together discs in a spine. I've cleared energy off, and it's really weird. I feel a little weird saying this. This is, I think, the first time I've actually said this out loud this way, like this bluntly. Um, because obviously I'm not a doctor, and so I'm gonna just stop and say, if you have medical issues, please see an actual doctor. I'm not an actual doctor. I cannot fix if you have a broken leg. Like that still actually has to heal. I can assist, but I cannot make your leg. I can't fix it. So please still go see a doctor. But um, and so it's just interesting because those are the kinds of things that I've done so far. And I've gone as far as um, like I remove energy. I've done cords. I've removed um, let me back up. So it's basically connecting like the energy to the physical body. So everything is energy, emotions, trauma, all of that. And if you don't work through that and you don't release that energy, then it becomes stuck and stored in your body as whatever physical ailment. So you've got pain in your leg, you've got some people have chronic illnesses. That could be part of that. Obviously, not all illnesses are like that. So again, please see a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but it could assist because those things do manifest into physical ailments. Um, and so we'll see where this kind of goes for me, but that's kind of what I've done so far. Um, and yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more than that. I don't really know yet at this point.
A lot more, but you're forgetting that you're also very intuitive. You read
Yes,
for people, like you don't need the cards, like we were talking about earlier.
yes.
Um, But yeah, that's so interesting because, you've helped me quite a bit with cord cutting and stuff like that. But where were you on reprogramming my mind? Where were you on that?
It's what comes up. I don't get to pick and choose it. Your
They're
soul
like,
does.
you got to do it yourself. Okay. That's the whole purpose of what you're doing, Colette.
Yeah,
Because I think we can both identify with the fact that, we have to experience things so we can share it with the people that cross our paths, the collective that crosses our path, right? Somebody said,
absolutely.
yeah, in the background. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up the thought that like energy healing is a great way to assist with your healing. If you're not going to do the work though, if I get an intuitive hit and I'm like, hey, maybe do some stretching or do more walking, or if I'm like guiding you based off of what is being downloaded and you don't do it, what I do is only going to do so much for you. Like you have to do your part in that healing too, and not just rely on me doing woo-woo stuff on your body.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because it's so true. Because you hear people that are in our line of work talk about this a lot. It's like, okay, we aren't actually healers. We are here to help you along on your journey, but
Yep.
like we are giving you the tools and we are doing the things that we need to do on our end, but you actually have to do your own healing. I've got chills. So anybody out there that's listening, and if someone's told you, oh, I can heal you, or I'm a healer, like, no, no, you have to do the work. You
Yeah.
find the people that can help you along the way, just like you found your mentors, right? That helped you along the way, but you actually put in the work to get where you're at now.
Yep. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
that's
was gonna,
really cool. Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
You were going to say
No,
something?
I had a thought while you were saying that I was gonna share, and now I forget what it was. So if it comes back to me, I'll circle back. But yeah,
Okay. Sorry. It's probably
it's okay.
talking, knowing
No,
me.
no, it's my mushy mom brain.
Ah, can I blame it on that, even though I don't have kids?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, two dogs count, I guess. I don't know.
You have two dogs and a husband that snores, or a boyfriend that snores, so you could absolutely blame it on
Okay, good. Thanks.
yeah.
Um, okay, well, my story, I guess,
Yeah.
now, right? Unless you have something
No,
else that you want
nope.
to share. Okay.
It's all you.
Woo, here we go. So for me, wait, what are you drinking? That looks delicious.
It is a brown sugar cinnamon coffee.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
It's
I
a little
love
too sweet
coffee.
for me, but I do like it.
Uh-huh. So my journey started back in high school, actually, and I had a premonition, and it was terrifying. And that's why I kind of stepped away from all of this for a long time. But I happened to go to Florida with my family, and we took our neighbor's Blazer because we only had a car and we couldn't fit all of our stuff in the car. So my friend was with me. My friend at the time was with me, and we went to the beach, and like weird stuff was happening with the car. The windows weren't rolling back up, and the windshield wiper stopped working all of a sudden. So my dad was a mechanic at the time, and when I got back to my grandparents' house, I said, "Hey, this stuff's going on with the car. Can you take a look at it?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna look at the car before I give it back to Larry, who's our neighbor. But we have to be back by this specific date because Larry's son Brad is going to Colorado." And I was like, he shouldn't go. And my dad's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Something really terrible is going to happen if he goes." And then he looked at me like I was crazy. And that was kind of it for it until we got back. And I was sitting in my room and I happened to look outside and I saw Brad packing, and I was kind of going back and forth with like, hey, do I tell this guy? By the way, he was 22 at the time. He was young. I was like, hey, do I tell him? And right before I was gonna go, like I was literally on my way out the door, he had already left. So the next day I'm sitting outside and my dad comes up to me and said they got in a car accident and everybody died in the car but the driver. Like the car flipped over, it didn't even get out of Michigan. And I remember feeling like scared because I like had that idea and then, or that thought or whatever. And then, I felt really terrible for not saying anything. Um, and eventually, like I did go to therapy. Oh, go ahead, Rita.
Do you think at that point, um, so I guess this is a two-part question, that you understood what was happening when you thought that? And then after you found out that he passed away, was there any part of you that like kind of blamed yourself? Like, oh, well, I had that thought, like maybe I made that happen kind of thing.
So I couldn't really grasp why I had that thought, even like when I was told that he died, I was like, whoa, like why did I was questioning why I had that thought, but I definitely blame myself for a long time because I never said anything to him. I don't think that I had any thought of, I created that. I just went, maybe I could have saved his life if I would have said something. But now I understand that he probably would have won anyway. It took me a long time to make peace with that. I went to therapy for that. But I, my mom turned 70 a couple years back and I ran into his father. I don't see him very often because we, moved away and he's moved away and stuff like that. But I was talking to his girlfriend, and it just, I don't know why I felt like I needed to tell her, yeah, I had a premonition. And she wasn't around at the time, but I was like, I had a premonition of Brad's death. And she's like, shut up. You did? And I said, yeah. And she said, you got to talk to Larry. He did too. And I was like, what? So I got chills talking about this 'cause I'll never forget that conversation. So he had a dream about the accident.
Oh,
And
geez.
he, isn't that crazy? He told Brad, he said, um, please rest before you go on your trip because they were all working at a pizzeria, I guess. So that's what the driver fell asleep at the wheel. So he's
Mm,
like, please just fall or please take a nap before you go. You don't, need to go right now. Just take a nap, please. I just have a really bad feeling. And Brad was so free spirited looking back, like he was gonna do what he was gonna do. It wouldn't have mattered what Larry said, what I said, he was meant to go down that path. And I know that sounds terrible. He was a 22-year-old, but you know, he lived his life. I don't know. It's weird to say that, but yeah, that was very traumatizing, and I completely shut the door on everything regarding this. And I want to say, I want to go back to, and we talked about this before, Kathryn, and I think you kind of had a similar thing. When I was very, very young, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, from what I can remember, it probably was before that, but I just had this strong sense that I was like somebody else or needed to be somewhere else, or like, I don't know, like, I don't feel like I belong, like there's something very odd about me. I don't know. And
mhm.
now looking back, for me at least, I feel like I had a lot of previous lives and I was kind of like tapping into that at a young age. But I think too, it was like also a sense of, okay, what's my identity? Like I feel like I'm losing my identity, which I think all of us do because when we're children, we just are so influenced by our parents. And then we just kind of go down this path of like, okay, that's what my parents said I'm supposed to do. So this is who I gotta be, or, this is what so and so said. So this is what I gotta do. So
Yeah.
yeah, that looking back at that piece, that at that time, I don't think I was like scared of gifts or anything of that nature. But in high school, that really traumatized me. And I was like, nah, I'm done. So then after high school, a few years after high school, I saw a psychic. Um, I think her name was like Gemini something. And she was very close to my house. And I went with my girlfriend a couple times too. But the first time I saw her, she was very, very gifted. She was a very gifted psychic. I don't know what happened to her. But she told me if you stop worrying, you'd see a lot more. And I was like,
Mm.
I don't know what you mean. And she's like, yeah, you do. So I got home and I was like, oh, okay. All right, I get it now. um,
Yeah.
but I didn't stop worrying until, well, I still kind of worry, but not like I did. But it took me a long time to figure that piece out. But anyway, fast forward maybe 10 years later or 15 years later, I saw a different psychic because I couldn't find this one. And I promised that I would never see a psychic again after this lady. Oh, also, you know what, Kathryn? I realized the other day when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, that it's funny that I said I'm, shutting the door on any of this, whatever this is, and then maybe a year or two later, I go see a psychic. I never
You
thought about that.
you thought you shut the door.
Right? It's crazy. They won't let you. They won't
No.
let you. They won't. And it might take you a long time, but then, always listen because you end up doing the reverse tower times a million and it's awful, right, Kathryn?
It is awful. Yes. It's funny because I was just telling my friend about that today. I was like, when you start, because she just started. And Brittany, if you're listening to this, hey girl. Um,
You got
she
this.
just yeah, she just started. And so I told her, I said, if you decide that like you want to take this journey, like it's not gonna be all rainbows and butterflies. Like it's gonna peel back the layers and expose every bit of thing like that it defines you. And it's gonna flip everything upside down. I was like, but keep going. Just keep going because once you get to the other side of it, or as you go, like it's so flippin' amazing. And I told her, I said, if you do this, like there's no going back. Like I remember so many times in my journey up to this point, where I would tell people like it would just be so much easier if I could just turn this off and go back and just be ignorant again and not like have to do it, you know? Yeah. Mm.
Yes, you've been right there with me recently.
Yeah.
Like when I was going through that, I was ready to give up just all of it because
It's
it
not
was just,
always, yeah. And
whoa.
yeah, and last thought, and then I'll let you keep going. But I think that's kind of like the misconception with New Age spirituality today is that um it just is all peace, love, and light, right? They don't talk about the shadow work and all the yeah, all the stuff
I
that
gotta
goes
say
behind it.
that.
So like if you're genuinely doing it, yeah, sure. It's like you have to fake it till you make it and do peace, love, and light through a dark moment, fine, but like still do that work. You can't like you're not gonna make it anywhere, like make it as far, I should say. If you're just faking it till you make it the whole time. Like you still have to do the work.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because actually, when I first started my healing journey, which I'll get to eventually, I'm glad we're having these sidetracks because these kind of conversations are very important. That's exactly why we're here.
Yeah.
But when I first started like doing readings and stuff like that, I was very much in the love and light energy. And I was just like, ooh, darkness, bad, kind of thing. And I had a hard time giving people, even though like because I've always been a truth teller, but I was like, oh man, this is a tough message. I'm going to have a hard time giving this to them. Now I have
Yeah.
no problem because, without the hard messages, you're not going to get to the light. Like you need the darkness to get to the light. So
Yeah.
always like give yourself a break. That's one thing I think I've learned like very recently that you just gotta kind of you get in the depths of yourself and then it's hard to get out once you start like pulling at the strings and the cycles and all of that, right? So you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, I gotta keep working, I gotta keep working. No, please, for the love of God, take a break when you feel like you need it from the shadow work. For real.
Right. Yeah. And I feel
Okay.
like the
Oh,
ambulance
sorry.
sirens for that was pretty significant of
I
take a
didn't even
break.
hear it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and that's good because there was an ambulance that went by as you were talking about that. And so absolutely, I'm just gonna piggyback off of that. You don't take a break, the universe is gonna make you take a break. You're
Yeah.
gonna get sick or something's gonna happen. So yes, absolutely take those breaks when you need it. If you feel like you need a rest, take the break.
Well, maybe that was a sign for me. Okay. I mean, it's like weird because, I feel like we've been in this hermit mode for so long that I'm
Mhm.
ready to just take off swinging. But I do have to remind myself that, like, even if I have that energy, like, I'm still going through things personally that I need to really take care of. So, thank you for the reminder. We're gonna light some sage real quick. So where was I? Oh, so yeah, I go like maybe 10 or 15 years and I see another psychic. Maybe it wasn't that long. See another psychic and um she was the worst psychic I think I've ever come across because she did not know how to deliver a message. So if you come see me for a reading, I'm gonna give you the truth. I just told you that, right? But
She will.
I'm going
Trust me, she will.
but I'm going to give it with kindness and compassion. This woman literally told me, and she was right at the time, but she told me I was never going to find love. I was never going to be happy. I was never going to find the right person. What person says that to someone who is completely lost? Because that's what I was essentially at the time, right? Um, so now I understand, now that I'm, where I'm at, that she was saying, in my current energy with who I was. And if I wasn't going to do any healing, I wasn't going to be happy. I wasn't going to find somebody to be happy with, which makes total sense. So if anybody ever says that to you, like don't see a psychic like that. That's terrible. She should not be doing what she's doing. So that made me even more turned off. And I'm like, yeah, never again for real. I'm never going to see a psychic. Like, this is it. So fast forward, I don't know how much longer down the road, but I was working at a corporate job as well. And I was married and I had the worst anxiety of my life ever. Well, until recently, probably. I mean, I feel good now, but I had terrible anxiety. I didn't know I had anxiety. I didn't know what was going on with me. And I had started to go to all these doctors or whatever. And hopefully they got rid of this drug, but at the time they put me on Prozac and it made me absolutely insane. I was in fear for my life. I was calling my ex-husband every day and like trying to get him to come home. And I was in bed. I couldn't do anything. I was on 3 Xanax a day. It was awful. And then they switched my medication to Wellbutrin and Buspirone, and that was like the money spot. And I started seeing a therapist as well. And Janet, I know you probably won't listen to this, but she was amazing. She was incredible. She helped me really kind of start asking myself questions about who I was and what I was doing. And, because I feel like we kind of all get caught up in like being a robot in a sense, like we're just going about life. Like okay, I talk about this a lot. Okay, so we graduate high school, now we got to go to college, then we got to find somebody to marry. And, like we just get caught up in like routine and then it just feels like you're just living a life to live a life.
Yep.
So yeah, you agree. So then,
Yep.
my friend Carrie, if you ever listen to this, I love Carrie. We're still friends. We work together at the corporate job. And we went to Barnes and Noble one day because I was looking for a book. And she's not much, well, she wasn't much of a reader at the time. I think she reads more now. But she's like, I'm going to go look in the tarot section. I was like, excuse me, what? Barnes and
I
Noble
didn't know
has a
they had a
tarot?
section.
And then they do. They have a tarot section. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna come check that out with you. She's like, you should. So we go to the tarot section, and then I'm looking at this book, and it says the good tarot. And I always, even though I was very pessimistic at the time, I always tried to see the good in other people and just tried to see the light, even at that time. So I'm like, ooh, let's check this out. I think I'm gonna get like maybe I should get, a tarot deck. And she's like, you totally should. And so I picked this book up, and the woman's name is Colette, spelled exactly like me, which is very odd because usually it's two L's. And then
It's
her
amazing.
last name, I know, and then her last name was Barron Reed. And my last name at the time when I was married was Barton. If there ever was a sign, like, hello, you need to pick up this tarot deck right now.
Right.
So, by the way, if you're listening and you're trying to get into tarot reading, don't use the good tarot to start because it's not helpful. It's not intuitive. Like well, it's not that it's not intuitive, but you know, get something that's easier that has a good guidebook. Don't pick that one. That's not anyway. Um, so yeah, I picked up that deck of tarot cards and I'm like, I always knew I was going to help people. And I'm like, this is how I'm going to help people. This is great. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And yeah, I never really looked back. But I will say too with Carrie, again, shout out to Carrie. Before I got that deck of tarot, she turned me on to Abraham Hicks. So if you're starting your healing journey, and if you're like me, or if you were like me as a person who kind of looked at the glass half empty, um, sorry, it got really long for a second over there.
I'm gonna mute for a second because there's people over here.
Okay, okay. So what was I saying? Oh God. Oh, okay. So if you're kind of like a half glass bowl type person, 10 out of 10 recommend Abraham Hicks. She's on YouTube. They're like 15-minute videos. You can just listen to them. My friend Carrie recommended them to me before I even got that tarot deck. And that's like, so on top of the therapy and then trying to like change my mindset, like that was a really good starting point on my healing journey. But yeah, I thought when I picked up that tarot deck, I thought I was just going to be doing tarot for people, but like just like Kathryn, I'm meant for bigger things. And like I started my business back in was it 2021? I don't know. It's been like 3 years. Whatever. It's been like 3 years since I've had my business. But when I started reading tarot, I was like, oh, I'm gonna read love readings. I'm a love reader for people. Like how ridiculous now looking at that, right? And because that's the energy I was in at the time. I was just like obsessed with anything love related. And then I was like, why am I putting myself in a box? Why am I doing that? So, as I gradually went and started doing more types of different readings, I was like, okay, I'm a medium, so I'm a psychic medium. And now I don't even really identify with that. Like I can connect to spirits. I do connect to spirits, but that's not what spirit wants me to highlight. What I am here to do, and it's probably going to evolve with the collective, just like you, right? Is I'm here to right now. My title is psychic trauma mentor because the trauma healing that I've done has been very excessive and it isn't for the weak, I'm telling you. And it's not to dig anybody who decides not to go down that road. Like that road, I completely get it. It's really, really hard. So if you make the decision to start your healing journey, just know that it's really hard. And anybody who tells you otherwise is fucking lying to your face.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. But don't let that scare you though. So it
Mm-mm.
is she's not exaggerating. Like it's fucking hard. Um, but don't let it scare you because spirit, God, universe, however you tomato tomato, however you identify it, um, is going to put the people that you need in your path to support you through it. So as long as you commit to doing it and working through it and figuring it out, like you're going to be given the tools and support that you need to do it. You don't,
Yes, 100%.
and you don't even know, you don't even need to know like how or why or like where these people are going to come from. Like with Colette, I stumbled across one of her lives and I met her off of TikTok. She did a reading for me and I frequented her TikTok. She just showed up on my FYP one day. So literally, like they will put who you need in your path when you need them. So
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to scare you away. I just know, like, on the theme of the love and light, I know there's a lot of, people in our business out there who are trying to sell this healing journey bullshit. And, um, you know, if we're doing what we're supposed to, it's being honest and just telling you that this is a hard road. It's not easy.
mhm.
But Kathryn is right because, the one thing that's really different about our story is that she had a lot of people that helped her along the way.
Yeah.
When I started what I was doing, I didn't have like, not that I didn't have people around me that were supporting me, but I didn't have any mentors to speak of, right? I didn't have any people teaching me tarot or teaching me about trauma and, these wounds that come up and shadow work and what, like, I just had to kind of learn that stuff on my own. But Catherine's absolutely right about the right people meeting you at the right time because very recently I was so when we talk about trauma, I think Kathryn kind of agrees with me on this, but it's kind of like an onion. Like, so
Yeah.
you deal with this wound that's on the outside, and then you're like, oh, I feel better about this. And then maybe a couple years down the road, maybe a couple months down the road, you're like, wait, I thought I dealt with this. And then it's like you peel back another layer. I've got chills talking about this. Like recently, what's been happening for me is that I'm getting to like the middle of the onion. And it was like so many different wounds for me were connected. And I don't think that's necessarily always the case with people, but I had so much like intricate like webs weaved together that I had to just one at a time, cut, cut, cut. And Kathryn, God bless her. Like I knew Spirit was like, okay, we're giving you Kathryn because she's going to be super patient and going to be able to help you through this because she's already kind of gone through her own piece of this or whatever. And yeah, God, I'm going to say God
Yeah.
brought Kathryn to me because like without the support of my boyfriend, Kathryn, my mother, I'm trying to think if there, well, Kim too was there for me through a lot of this as well. I'm gonna call Kim out like in a good way. Um, without these people, like, I mean, I don't know. Like I literally was at the breaking point and it's hard. So make sure that when you're going through these kind of things that you reach out to people because one of the things I think on the healing journey that I've learned the most, because I'm like Kathryn, and I think a lot of us are, especially women, okay? We try to do everything ourselves and we don't ask for help. And it's really hard
Mhm.
for us to say, oh, uncle, I can't do this anymore. So, make sure you've got supportive people around you that can help you through it.
Yes. But also know like your healing journey isn't so nobody um I'm gonna say nobody normal is gonna take a big old bite out of an onion, right? Like they're not gonna bite into
Yeah.
it like an apple. So it's really easy as you're in the thick of it, of whatever you're focusing on for healing, to be like, oh, well, this is connected to that. I got to heal that now. Oh, I got to heal that now. Oh, I got to heal that now. And then suddenly you've got like five different things here that you're like, oh, I need to focus on all these things. But you don't eat an onion in a big bite. You eat it little pieces and cut up, right? Most people do anyways. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would take a big old bite out of an onion, but um
Ew.
I know. So like it's just a reminder, like it's okay to go slow. It's okay to say, this is too much for me today. I don't want to think about it or I don't want to do it anymore. I know that you had moments like that. I know I had moments like that. Um, and it's just a reminder that like no matter how fast or slow you go, you're still where you're supposed to be in your journey. Like you're exactly where you are. So God and your spirit guides, they're not going to present more than what you need if you're not ready. They're going to present what needs to be healed, what's ready to be healed, like in that moment, if you're ready, kind of thing.
Yep, that's the right way to put it because I feel like one of the things that I was recognizing, and I did a reading about it, because usually my readings, Spirit wants me to kind of get advice for people when they catch up to where I'm at, but also like advice for me in the moment when I'm dealing with something. But when I was going through that big cycle, and it was like interwebbed with stuff, like I realized because I thought, well, why the hell? Like, because I've already, I already had that one layer or these multiple layers pulled back. Why didn't they just give that to me then? Well, guess what? I wouldn't have been able to fucking handle it over here. So, because I'm where I'm at now, that's why I had that big cycle that kind of showed up for me, so understand, like she's saying, that they wouldn't have put that in my face if, or, in front of me or whatever, if I wasn't ready to like actually let it go. And of course, like I said, I was just like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed and this is a lot and I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I did it. It's like, I already got this far. I'm going to keep going. Here I am.
Yeah. pretty much. It's very interesting. You know, it's funny because I was just thinking this morning when I was talking to my friend Brittany. I think up until this point, I've always like, so my healing journey has been 5 years. Like my spiritual awakening has been 5 years to give you an idea. Like this isn't something that just happens overnight, right?
Hmm.
Um, but up until like today, I think I was like imagining myself that I was still at the beginning of that, that I still am like navigating the spiritual awakening and trying to understand what's happening. And then when I was talking to her and how like effortlessly it came out, I realized, okay, maybe I'm not as advanced as some other people that have been doing it for 20 years, right? But like I'm not necessarily a baby in this anymore. Like I've grown and evolved a lot. So I don't know, it was just kind of like that aha moment for me today.
Yeah, while you're talking, I heard a cardinal outside and it's going again. I love it. Anyway, that's obviously meaningful for you. But oh shoot, I was gonna say something about what you said. Oh, so I started mine back in I'd say 2018. Like 2017 was when I was really sick, like with the anxiety and having trouble walking, and like it was bad for me. So that was when spirit like broke me down, right? So I'd say 2018 was when I really started. But I think one of the best pieces of advice that probably both Kathryn and I can give you when you're doing your healing journey is to look back at your progress, because we don't do that piece enough. And when I was thinking the other day about, again, what I was going to talk about on here, for my healing journey. It's crazy to think how long it's been for me. Like I started back in 2018. It's been quite a few years now, right? And I have come a super long way from, you know, that version of, and I love every version of Colette. Make sure you love every version of
Mm.
yourself, because without those versions, you will not be able to move forward. And you got to take everybody with you on the ride, every single person, every single version. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if I ran into somebody that I maybe knew right before I started this healing journey, and if they were to talk to this version of Colette, they probably would be like, who the hell are you even? Who the hell are you?
Oh, you know what's interesting about you saying that? Because like I feel like I would want to say the same thing, right? But I actually had somebody that I went to school with reach out to me. Like
Hmm.
I'm talking like middle school. So it's been a long
I
time.
remember you telling me this. Yes, I'm glad you're talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, that she knew somebody that did Reiki and she was like looking for friends and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, absolutely connect us. I think that'd be great. Um, but she told me, she was like, it really makes sense that you're doing this. She was like, I always remember you being sweet and empathetic. Um, and so
Validation. We love that.
yeah, so like circling that back to like my own point of view, right? Like if I look back on high school and college, like those days, um, if you asked me to describe myself, I would tell you that I was toxic as fuck. Like I was so toxic.
Same.
Um, and so I guess maybe it's just like which version of you, right? Like so if you're
Mhm.
comparing me to my middle school, maybe yeah, like the people then would be like, yeah, it makes sense, right? But if you're comparing me to the version of me in that time frame, those people would be like, she must have like really gone off the deep end at this point. So it's yeah, it's
Well,
interesting.
I mean, I think, one of the things that I've kind of gained and see from a different perspective now that I'm where I'm at now, I think the people that we cross paths with when we are in kind of that toxic energy, I feel like they see what's actually on the inside of us, and that's why they're attracted to us, right? Because they know who we are deep down, that we haven't figured that out yet, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, ultimately, we've always been kind of those good people. Like we just were exhibiting traits that weren't in our highest good or anybody else's, because, we like I was saying, you start off in childhood and you've got these right intentions, these good intentions, but then you get influenced on the way. And sometimes you get lost in this idea of, who I should be because I'm watching Kathryn and I really like who she is, and maybe that's what I need to embody. But you're looking through eyes of like a child, or like you're seeing something that isn't real or isn't the truth. Like you're seeing a version of the truth. So then you just kind of adapt along with the people you meet, and you become this version of yourself that you kind of look in the mirror and you're like, who am I? Like, who am I even really? I don't even
Yeah.
know who I am because I just am embodying who I think people are wanting me to be. So,
Yeah.
I think the big toxic thing for me. And I mean, not everybody's going to identify with that. Like, not everybody does. Like, okay, my boyfriend, for instance, like one of my favorite things about that guy is he is just Justin. It doesn't matter who comes around. Like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And I like that has always been kind of a moving force behind my journey too, because I'm just like, he can do it. I can do it. And he would literally say to me when we first met, like, if you don't want to go, don't go.
Oh my God,
Like,
Nick is the same way.
really? Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
simple?
Yeah. Which is crazy because like I was like thinking about it while you were saying that, but Nick is the exact same way. Like he's just always been him. He doesn't want to go, he's not going. And it's actually I am 100% the people pleaser. And so
Yes. Same.
I like at the expense of myself, right? And so he's
Yep.
like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I remember at the beginning of our relationship, I would get so frustrated with him. I'm like, you're being so rude. Like, what is your problem, right? But as I've learned, like he's actually helped me level out my people pleasing and set my boundaries because he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, why? Why are you doing that to yourself?
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God. I love that. Yeah, up until very recently, actually, I would kind of be looking at him like, okay, really? Why are you not doing this? Or why are you being Justin or whatever? And now I'm just like, God bless that guy for always just
yeah,
staying true to who he is. And now I'm
yeah,
working on embodying that more because I know that deep down I'm a good human and I don't need anybody else's validation, whether it's Justin or anybody else. Like, I don't need
yeah,
validation from anybody to be who I am, right? And I
right.
have always, always really loved that about him. But also, I feel like that was a big, strong mirror for me that I would get very frustrated at him for staying firm in his boundaries and saying, this is what I'm going to do, or this is who I am. And I'm like, mm.
Yeah. I am really grateful that he helped me with that because
hmm
I mean, I'm still working on it. Um, like doing more for myself and not like overdoing for other people. And you know that we've talked about it.
It's
Um,
hard to unlearn. Same. It's very
yeah,
hard to unlearn.
but I will tell you one thing. I am so, hi Nick, if you're listening to this, I love you. So grateful for that man because even since being home and doing stuff with the kids and like basically being in control of that now, like I find myself still trying to find things to fill my day instead of just being present with my kids like I've always wanted. And he's called me out on it. And he's like, stop creating more work for yourself. Just stop. Like you're doing too
hmm
much. And I'm like, "Hmm, okay.
hmm Yeah. Well, you need that person that's going to keep you in check for sure.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes what I really actually, I didn't know we were going to go down this road, but it's good that we're talking about our people because, they're very important on our journey. Um,
Yeah.
One thing I'm really grateful with Justin is sometimes he just lets me, like, I know he's thinking something. I'll look at him and I'll be like, what? And he'll be like, nothing. And then when I realize what he was thinking, and I'll say, oh, yeah, I was doing this. Or, when it in regards to him or anybody else, like, yeah, I recognize I was doing this and this is kind of icky. I don't like this. And he'll be like, yeah, I was kind of noticing that you were doing that. And, so he doesn't, he gives me space to just be who I am and let me figure it out along the way instead of just saying, why are you doing this? And, why are you being critical? Like,
Yeah.
definitely, that's the thing we talked about because I've always been super critical of myself. And, he won't say, like, why are you being critical of you? But he'll just be like, he'll kind of present it in a way where it makes me think, like, why did he say that? And then I'm like, oh, shit. I'm doing this.
Right.
So, yeah, you need somebody that, like, the whole point of our journey, I guess the whole culmination of everything we're saying, the whole point of our journey is to learn and grow. And one of the things that I recognize when I look back at the unhealed versions of Colette is that I was surrounding myself with people that weren't trying to heal and grow or weren't giving me the room to do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, I've got no animosity or anything towards anybody that I cross paths with because I'm grateful for every single, like, I wouldn't be where I'm at now without those experiences. And I'm sure you agree. But
Yeah.
where I'm at now, the people that are surrounding me now are uh aligned with me because they uh one of the things that took me a long time to realize with Justin is that he has always accepted me as I am. And I feel like, not to say that I haven't had partners or boyfriends or whatever that have kind of seen who I am and said, okay, that's fine. But he's always seen me for who I am and he's always accepted who I am, even if he doesn't completely understand what it is that I'm doing or, whatever. I have the space to do that now, and that is the truest blessing for real.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always nice when well, and I feel like it's hard to come by too, is to have genuinely safe space people that you can come
Mhm.
and just like be vulnerable with. Like I don't know. And I feel like this is something that you and I are kind of realizing recently too with things that we've talked about and whatnot and people we've talked about. But um, it's just people that you thought were safe maybe aren't as safe as you think they are. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Like these are people that are genuinely like you care about and you love and you've invested so much time into them. And then you suddenly realize that, oh, maybe their intentions aren't as pure as you thought they were. That's a really hard pill to swallow. Um, and you have to like give yourself grace for it. It's like, it's easy to be like, oh, well, I should have saw the signs, or how did I not notice that sooner? Or maybe they weren't always like that, right? Like maybe there's their true colors showed when it was time for you to see them. Like just because you started to see that they weren't good for you doesn't mean that they weren't always not good for you.
Right.
So, so
Well, that's why we're going to do a red flag podcast.
yes. Yeah, yeah, I definitely think we should because um I think it'll help. But oh, I was gonna say something now I forget.
I'm sorry.
No, no,
What's
no,
that?
no, it's not your fault. It's my mushy brain. Um, oh, I was gonna say, but you gotta let those people go. Like as hard as it is to be like, oh, but that's my whoever they are to you. Like for the people that are truly aligned with you to come in, you have to let those people go. You can't just you can't have both worlds because it's just not gonna work.
Yeah, it's really hard when get when you get to a point in your healing journey and you have to kind of, like, at the beginning of my healing journey, I had to let a lot of people go, and that was a lot for me. Um, at the time, I didn't even really think about that until now. Like, there was a lot of people that dropped off the face of the earth for me because spirit was like, yeah, where we're going, this is not aligned with you at all, right?
Yeah.
But very recently, yeah, I wasn't expecting to have to do anything like that with anybody that I was around. But, one of the things that spirit likes to do is test you along the way and make
Yeah.
sure that you're using discernment when you kind of let people in your circle. Because, I mean, for me, and I'm sure you can kind of relate to this, I just had no boundaries whatsoever before I started healing. I let anybody in my circle, I let anybody in my energy. Like I didn't understand any of that. And now it's like, because I've always been kind of that loner. Now it's like I understand why I was doing that before. And I'm going to embody that more. I'm not going to look at it as like I'm a weirdo or I don't like people, because I do, but I am introverted too. So it's like there's just a very small group of people that I have in my life, and I am not ashamed of that. I don't feel bad about that. Like my energy is very special, and if you get to, be a part of it, you should feel special too, because I don't
Yeah.
just let anybody in anymore. And you can't
Right.
if you're doing this. So,
Yeah, I agree. And really, and that goes for anything, right? Not just people. So you're gonna, that's the other piece that I feel like isn't really necessarily talked a whole lot about with spiritual awakenings, is that like as your frequency and vibration changes, everything around you changes to match that. So if the house you're living in, the car that you use, the job that you had, if those aren't matching that vibration, as silly as that sounds, your car's going to break and you're going to sell it. You're going to move. You're going to get fired from your job like I did in January. Like it's just going to happen if it doesn't align
yeah,
with you anymore. And
yeah.
so I'm going to use this as an example. I was talking to my friend this morning, and she was talking about the money that she paid for a certification that she was getting. And she was like, I have no motivation to do it. She's like, but I have a hard time not finishing it because of the amount of money that I spent for this. And I told her,
Mhm.
I said, if that is no longer aligned for you, don't put your energy into it. I said, because as soon as you shift your energy to something that's aligned for you, that money is going to come back to you tenfold.
Mhm.
So you can't equate the money that you're going to make back to just that certification, because it's going to come back to you as long as you're aligned.
Yep.
So
Yes, it's so true.
yeah,
Yeah, and actually, as you were saying that, I didn't even think about that. So I had, when I first started my healing journey, I had all these people drop out of my life and my job too. And
yeah,
I moved. And yeah, it was literally every single thing in my life had to go. It was an all sale. All sales are final, like
yeah,
clearing house. We gotta go. Yeah, it was a lot. Wow. Go me for getting through all that. That was
yeah,
a lot of changes at one time. Just like
yeah,
you when you started, right? I mean, yeah, it's
yeah,
usually what happens for people.
yeah.
So,
And it tends to sometimes happen fast, especially if you start working with specific deities like I did back in December. And
yeah,
January rolled around and here I am.
I brought her with us today. The key.
Good, good.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna have
Kathryn.
a conversation with her later.
Oh, are you? Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell her I said what's up.
yeah, I will.
And hey, anything that you want to help me with, cool.
Right.
Um,
But
well, Kathryn, I thought this went really well. I super
yeah,
enjoyed this, and I can't
me
wait
too.
to do more of these with you.
Yes. If you guys have something specific that you want to hear us talk about or discuss, or if you have any questions, I'm not really sure how comments work on Spotify. If there's comments, please leave a comment or you can message one of us and we'd be happy to talk about it. So, whatever way that we can help and support you guys, that's the whole intention of this podcast. So, if you guys have ideas or things that you want to talk about or hear, please share with us.
Yes. So yeah, reviews, follows, any of those
Yeah,
kind of things would be super helpful.
yeah,
Yeah, I forgot to mention in the beginning of the show kind of what we're doing. I did say, we're going to talk about our healing journeys today, but just to kick this off, but what we kind of intend to do is give you some kind of tips and tricks. We talked about red flags. We're going to probably do a podcast about that because we want to give ourselves tools too, right? Along our
mhm,
journey. So we'll do tips and tricks, and then we're kind of gonna intuitively pick the topic, as we go along to whatever energies are happening at the time or whatever we think you need to know, we need to know, we'll talk about. And then our intention is to do this on Thursdays, and then Thursday night, and then post it after we're done. I'll post it after we're done. That might not always be the case. We will get it up when we can. Sometimes things happen. It's just the way of life for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here. So, but yeah, we're doing this to help educate you because, like I was saying, I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have the education. And yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback, any kind of feedback.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye, Kathryn.
Bye. See ya.